Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the football betting series here on YouTube Premier League edition. We've got a round of midweek fixtures, so this episode does come with a massive disclaimer. The week commencing the 24th of February, I will be in Holland. I'll be in the lovely city of Amsterdam for a week, so I am recording this episode ahead of time. As such, the recent results and form do not include the weekend of the 22nd and 23rd of February, so please take that into account when you're making your personal picks. So far, the month of February has been a rocky road. Our record stands at 10 wins, 9 losses and 1 push for a near 50% record. As such, we've taken a loss of £163 and 20 pence. And when we take that away from the overall record, for the series, we're standing on 133 wins, 53 losses with 21 pushes, but a total series profit of £727 and 18 pence. If you think I'm talking some sense in today's video, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. Without further ado, let's get into it. Our first pick sees Brighton playing host to Bournemouth, and Brighton they beat Chelsea by 3-0 in their most recent match. Matoma opened the scores within 27 minutes, with Yankuba Minta adding a second shortly thereafter. Then Minta scored his second and Brighton's third of the game to kill off the match as a contest. When we take a look at the stats, we can see that Chelsea, well, they never really got started in this one. Despite holding more than twice the possession of their hosts, Chelsea only managed to produce 0.54 XG and basically had no end product. In terms of form, it's now back-to-back wins across all competitions for the Seagulls, and both of these matches came against Chelsea, and it's really nice to put the 7-0 defeat against Nottingham Forest behind them. They host a Bournemouth side who beat Southampton with relative ease in their last match. 2 goals in 2 minutes put the Cherries ahead early, and from there they assumed control of the game. However, Southampton did peg one back in the 72nd minute through Sulemana, but this hope was short-lived as Tavernier scored to make it 3-1, and 3-1 would be the final score. In terms of form, this win did make back-to-back victories for the Cherries across all competitions. They've also won 3 of their last 4 Premier League matches. When we look at the head-to-head record, Brighton won last encounter back in late November. João Pedro opened the scoring after just 4 minutes, with Matoma scoring 4 minutes into the second half to put the Seagulls 2-0 up. David Brooks would then score a late consolation goal to add a bit of gloss to the scoreline, but the match would end 2-1 to Brighton. Form-wise, this result did avenge a previous defeat to Bournemouth, but Brighton have won 4 of the last 5 Premier League encounters. My prediction for today's game is that both sides have been going pretty well in recent weeks, and against Southampton and Wolves at the weekend, I expect them to come out on top and into this midweek fixture on pretty decent form. Both sides have also been involved in some high-scoring fixtures this season, so I don't think this match will be any different. Brighton have seen over 2.5 goals in 3 of their last 4 Premier League games, but only in 1 of their last 4 home matches, whereas Bournemouth, they've seen 4 of their last 5 Premier League games see at least 3 goals scored, and this has happened in each of their last 8 matches away from home. When we look at the head-to-head record, each of the last 3 head-to-head encounters have seen over 2.5 goals scored, and over 2.5 has come in 3 of the last 5 matches at the Amex. Therefore, I'm going to back over 2.5 goals for a full stake here in bet number 1. Our second selection also takes place on the Tuesday, and it is Wolves versus Fulham. And Wolves lost to Liverpool at Anfield in their most recent game. Liverpool were 2-0 up thanks to contributions from Diaz and Salah, but the second half was all Wolves really. Kuna netted to make it 2-1, but despite a few scares towards the end of the game for Liverpool, they did manage to hold on, the final score finishing 2-1 to the Reds. In terms of form, it is now 1 win in their last 7 Premier League games for Wolves. They've also lost 5 matches across this period. They host a Fulham side who picked up a win in their last match against Nottingham Forest. Emil Smith-Rowe made the breakthrough before Woods tied things up ahead of half-time. Then the match was settled in the second period with Calvin Bassey's goal, the Cottagers winning by 2-1. In terms of form, it is now a back-to-back wins in the Premier League for the Cottagers as they continue a pretty solid season. When we look at the head-to-head record, it was Wolves that picked up the victory in the last fixture. They overturned an Alex Iwobi opener, with Kuna levelling the scores just before half-time. Then Wolves dominated the attacking play in the second period and added 3 more goals to their tally for an emphatic 4-1 win away from home. That victory did make it back-to-back wins for Wolves over Fulham in the Premier League. My prediction for today's game is that Wolves have struggled to win matches of late, whereas Fulham have only recently turned their form around. I may take Fulham based on form in this one, but in terms of the head-to-head, Wolves are the best side. Instead, I'm not going to get involved in picking a side here, and I'm going to go for goals. Wolves have seen over 2.5 goals in 4 of their last 6 Premier League matches, but in only 1 of their 4 matches at Molineux. Whereas Fulham, they've seen over 2.5 goals in back-to-back Premier League games, and in 6 of their last 8 League matches as well. They've also seen over 2.5 goals scored in 4 of their last 5 away matches. When we look at the head-to-head record, each of the last 3 games between these sides have seen over 2.5 goals scored. Therefore, I'm going to back over 2.5 goals for a full stake here in bet number 2. Our third and final bet in today's episode sees Liverpool take on Newcastle. And Liverpool, they bested Wolves in their last game. A dominant first-half performance had the Reds 2-0 up thanks to Diaz and Salah, but they really struggled to get out the gates in the second period. As such, Kuna scored a goal to add a bit of drama towards the end, but Liverpool did manage to hang on for that win, 2-1 the final score. In terms of form, it's been a bit mixed of late. 1 win, 1 draw and 1 defeat in the last 3 matches across all competitions. However, in the Premier League, they are 21 unbeaten. They host a Newcastle side who were embarrassed by Manchester City in their last game, losing 3-0 at half-time thanks to Mardmush's hat-trick, and they gave away another goal in the second period, with the final scores ending 4-0 to Manchester City. In terms of form, it's now back-to-back losses in the Premier League for the Toon, and they've also lost 3 of their last 4 matches in the division. With this game away at Liverpool, I don't think things are going to get any easier for Eddie Howe's men. When we look at the head-to-head records, the previous encounter finished all square thanks to Fabian Schär's 90th minute equaliser. The scores finished level at 3-3, but looking at the numbers, this probably was the correct result. There was very little to split the 2 sides. In terms of the head-to-head form, this draw did continue a Liverpool unbeaten run over Newcastle. They haven't suffered a defeat in the last 16 Premier League meetings, and this dates all the way back to December of 2015, when Newcastle picked up a 2-0 win at St James's Park. My prediction for today's game is that based on the head-to-head records, Liverpool will come into this match as favourites, and that is for good reason. However, in recent weeks they have shown a few fragilities, losing a late equaliser in the Merseyside derby, and then going on to only scrape through 2-1 against Wolves. If there was any time for Newcastle to pick up a result against the Reds, now would probably be the moment. However, instead of backing a side, I'm going to take goals once again. Liverpool have seen over 2.5 goals in 3 of their last 4 Premier League matches, and in each of their last 5 games at home. Whereas Newcastle, they've seen over 2.5 goals scored in each of the last 6 matches, and in 5 of the last 6 road games. When we look at the head-to-head record, each of the last 3 matches between these sides have seen over 2.5 goals. Therefore, I'm going to back over 2.5 goals for a full stake here in the final bet of today's episode. So there we have it, 3 picks in today's episode, starting off with Brighton versus Bournemouth. We're taking over 2.5 goals, odds of 1.54, a £40 full stake to return £21.60. Also on the Tuesday, Wolves play host to Fulham. We're also taking over 2.5 goals in that one, but at the time of recording, the odds are not live yet. If I remember in between Stroopwafels in Amsterdam, I will put a pinned comment down below with the updated odds, and of course I'll update the spreadsheet in the coming weeks. Wrapping up today's episode though, we have Liverpool versus Newcastle. We're also taking over 2.5 goals, odds of 1.39, a £40 full stake to return £15.60. So across the midweek, we're going to be risking up to £120 to hopefully pick up way more than £37.20. And of course, that number will increase when the Wolves and Fulham odds go live. The question is, will we do so? And there's only one way to find out that, and that's to tune into next episode. But if you have made it to this point in the video, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. And as always, have yourself a lovely day.